Your own jingle, Ashley.
As long as you're happy, you're always gonna grin. Get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. Never gonna lose, never gonna win. As long as you're happy, you're always gonna grin. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in.
Good afternoon. You were smiling through that, Charlie.
Oh, it was so lovely.
Oh, bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you. Today I've got Charli Hunt. So Charli is going to tell us a little bit about herself.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Ashley. I have a copywriting agency and I am also the founder of the Lime One. So I kind of started out my career copywriting, started the agency, and then I used to get lots of leads from LinkedIn, and there were lots of things that frustrated me about it. And luckily, my business partner is a coder, so he's created this amazing thing that helps us actually use LinkedIn better, which is great.
Brilliant. I don't know if you know, but I got a little passion for LinkedIn. So you are going to be a brilliant guest today. Half an hour is not going to be long enough, but we'll see what we can get through. And before we start, let's just say good morning to, or good afternoon to Mihal. So Mihal's been following me on my shows on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and I've just moved this to a Monday now. So thank you for coming over and catching up and changing your week, Mihal. It's really nice to see you. Copywriting. How did we get into that, Charlie?
I don't actually know. So I did loads of internships while I was at uni and before I went to uni as well. And I've kind of always known I wanted to be in marketing. When I was 15, my aim was to be on Charles Saatchi's speed dial, which is absolutely not my aim at all anymore. But yeah, marketing and advertising I've always found really interesting. So, and then I guess I could just write. So they gave me lots of writing jobs, and SEO was a big thing, and it was just becoming a big thing when I started working. And then I went off to uni. Someone I'd worked with before asked me, can you rewrite this 3,500 page website for me? I was like, oh yeah, sure, that's fine. And then quickly realized I probably couldn't do that by myself. So I had to get some freelancers, and that's how the business was born.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Can anyone write?
I think so. And I think especially now we have all of these AI tools. Now, I definitely don't condone writing LinkedIn content with AI, but I do think there's loads of tools that can help you now. So if you're terrible at spelling and grammar, A, it doesn't really matter. And B, you've got loads of tools that can help you change that now. But also, I just think if you find it hard to get your point across, you can talk to a tool and it will write something for you. I think everybody's got stuff inside them, and it's a shame to just limit it to people who are good at expressing that through writing, because that tends to be the medium people take it in through.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we get too hung up about what other people think, don't we? And so therefore we don't bother writing.
Yeah. And LinkedIn is such a good place to give it a try because you get this instant feedback. You have a community of people who really want you to do well and who are so generous in giving you their tips. You can see what's working really well for them if you follow them and read their content. And yeah, I think LinkedIn's such a cool place to learn to write if you're worried about writing.
Isn't it ever? I'm going to say hello to Paige as well, because she's a convert to LinkedIn following a little bit of training that I did. So hi, Paige. Thanks for watching. This is every Monday now, so make sure you come in. So hang on, you said something about you've developed some software. How on earth does a righty type person end up developing software? Because developing software is not easy, is it?
No, well, my business partner, Chris, developed it. So he's a coder. He's one of those really annoying people that's really, really good at every single thing that he turns his hand to. I am not I'm not very good at sort of fiddling around with fiddly things. So software engineering would not be my forte. I can do writing, and that's as kind of minute as I can get with things. But yeah, software would not be my thing. I just know that we had a problem with LinkedIn and we could solve it with software. So Chris and I came up with it together, but he did the actual building. Thank God.
I love that. A fiddler of fiddly things. So you're not a software developer, you're a fiddler of fiddly things, and that's the way to do it. So why do we need software to help us with LinkedIn then, Charli Hunt?
Well, I think LinkedIn is a brilliant platform. It's where everyone is. If you're selling B2B, even if you're selling B2C, but let's focus on B2B because it's easier. If you're selling B2B, everyone is on LinkedIn. The trouble is LinkedIn made most of their money through ad revenue, but mainly through recruiters and people finding jobs. So they want creators on the platform, and they're definitely getting more into it, but they haven't really got the tools that like recruiters have to make them kind of find all this value in the platform. So, with your contacts, you can only search through 2,000 at a time by first name and location. That's very frustrating because you've got these amazing people in your network. It's so hard to find them and search through them. So those are just like some of the problems that Lime sorts out for you. The news feed, it's really hard to find relevant content that you actually want to see and want to comment on. And you've got all these cool people creating cool things in your network. So we'll help you find that as well. So I don't like LinkedIn's amazing. We'd never be like, oh, move over to Lime instead of LinkedIn. It's just there to support you and help you actually make some sales and make the most out of LinkedIn.
Yeah. Okay. So it's going to give me a bit of structure. It's going to make it easier for me to find things. It's going to point me in the right direction.
Exactly. It will help you set a strategy and then stick to that strategy. So it's what's that quote? We overestimate how much we can do in a day, and we underestimate how much we can do in a year. Like with your training, Ashley, if you can just spend a bit of time on LinkedIn every day, moving yourself closer to that goal, then you will start to see leads come in from LinkedIn. But you have to do it consistently. Sorry, and it can get a bit boring. But if you can do it, and you can do it consistently, and you can move yourself in the right direction every day or every few days, then you'll get there.
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? I think people forget or don't realize the power of consistency. And exactly what Paige has just said. I love this. She said the church of 15 minutes. So my training is all about doing things in 15 minutes a day. So if you sit on LinkedIn for 15 minutes every day, it doesn't seem like a lot, Charli, but that's 65 hours a year. And if you compound that and you do 65 hours of marketing every single year, your business is going to go somewhere, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And like it doesn't feel that much if you just do that every single day. I think you've just hit the nail on the head with the 15-minute training.
I know, it's brilliant. I love it. And I've got this t-shirt, right, that says the 15-minute guy on it, and the amount of comments I get from people, but we won't go there today. But that's the thing, isn't it? It's just being consistent. So Lime, your software, will help me be consistent.
Yeah, it'll help you be consistent, but it also helps you just find those people. It just it adds an extra layer onto LinkedIn that I think they're hopefully going towards, just to help you make it easier, help you find those people who you're already connected to, who could be your clients, then help you nurture those relationships. So we do things like we put a value on every time you leave a comment or send a DM and you log it in Lime, and then it kind of just increases your citizen scores. So let's say you want to nurture a relationship for a month by just commenting on someone's posts and just generally following them around LinkedIn, I guess. Then you log that, and you know that once your citizen score is up to a certain amount, you can then send them a DM, and you've built enough of a relationship to take your relationship to the next level, and then kind of just start seeing if they might be interested in what you're selling, if it is actually valuable to them, and I don't know, invite them to a webinar, send them something. So I've been nurturing LinkedIn ghostwriters for about 2 months, I think. Then I invited 100 of them to a webinar, 70 of them turned up, and then 50 of them have become Lime customers. So, it works because I'd nurtured them and I'd built this relationship with them. They were ready to be sold the webinar, and then they trusted me, and obviously what I'm selling is good as well. But they trusted me, and they to then take that next step.
That is incredible. That is incredible. You are definitely putting it in. All right. Sorry. You get out what you put in, right? And you are putting it in. And I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase the bank account of life or something. You know, if you're giving stuff to people, you know, with content, with feel good stuff and things like that, then it all comes back. And
Exactly.
to get a 70% turn up for a webinar, that is unheard of.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
pretty good. Hey.
unheard of. Well, it's normally the other way round. 70% of people are, no, I'm not coming, and they don't bother turning up. But then a 50% conversion rate, unbelievable.
I think it's also, I'm selling something that will really work to them. I've tailored something to them and said, here is a strategy for ghostwriters. Then I've given a free trial, so they're not having to give me any money. So I think, you know, there's lots of things that go into it, but it's, that's the way to do it, is have a clear process on LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. There is an elephant in the room. And I'm going to have to ask you, because LinkedIn have this policy that you're not allowed to use third-party apps and stuff like that. So, and I know that yours is absolutely hunky-dory and what have you. So tell us, for all of those people listening, watching now are thinking, oh, it's another one of these apps that are banned and I'm going to get my account closed down. How have you got around that?
So the first thing is we don't do any scraping, no automation, nothing that will get you banned from LinkedIn. It does mean some manual inputs, but there's a lot of value in that as well, because it means that you're finding people and you're creating proper relationships instead of, I don't know, sending a Dripify campaign where you're just, I don't know, you're not really on the other end of it and people don't really care what you're sending to them. So firstly, there's that. Secondly, you don't log into your LinkedIn account. You don't give us any access. So any tool that wants access to your LinkedIn wants you to log in through their platform. Be very careful of those, because even if you're not using it to do anything dodgy, they could use your account later on to be part of a pod or anything. You don't know what they're doing with it.
And I've got another caveat to put in there, because one of the terms and conditions of using LinkedIn is you do not give anybody else your LinkedIn account details. So by LinkedIn terms and conditions, I'm not allowed to go into a client of mine and do their posting for them. And a lot of people don't realize that, which is why I teach rather than do. So you've heard of the saying, give someone a fish and they'll eat for a day, but teach them to fish, they'll eat forever. That's what I do. I teach people to fish. I don't do it for them, because there's no way of getting around that rule. And if I'm helping somebody with their LinkedIn and logging in and doing all their work for them, I could get their LinkedIn closed down. So none of this is going to happen with yours. That's a 100% guarantee, because what you've done is you've grabbed the data and you're putting it elsewhere. So if I was a boffin, I might have a spreadsheet with all this information on, or I might have tabs saved in my browser or leaflets or whiteboards or something. But you've just created this tool that does it all for me.
Exactly. So when we were researching whether this tool would be useful for people, I saw a lot of people's homemade spreadsheets, and they've got kind of lists of people that they check every day. There's no way to log that you've done something with that person. So you're just kind of checking every day and seeing if they've done something. There's no way in Lime you could add a tag saying this person posts at 8 a.m. And then at 8 a.m. you can just search for your 8 a.m. tag and just look at everyone who might have posted then. Which, you know, if you can get in the first few comments, generally they'll reply to you, they'll notice you, and you'll start to build a relationship a bit better than if you're kind of taking 12 hours to comment on what they've done. But yeah, so we use the data download that LinkedIn has to give you because of GDPR in the UK. I can't remember what the EU and the US ones are called, but most countries have their own kind of data protection laws. And what that means is that LinkedIn has to give you a list of your connections as well as some other things as well. And we just use that data, which is your data that LinkedIn has to give you. You then upload it into Lime, and then you can work on LinkedIn from there. But you have to work from LinkedIn in the LinkedIn interface. So we're not doing kind of anything dodgy.
Brilliant. And you say that with a big smile on your face, because it is true. It's a cracking little program. You just said something that was quite interesting. If someone's posting at 8 a.m., you're saying to get in there first So you'd be the first in there to add a comment rather than later on in the day when there's already 40 comments in there.
It depends who they are. Some people will kind of go back through and look at them, but I think when you first put a post on LinkedIn, even if you're a big creator who always gets loads of comments, you still are a bit like, there's the first couple of minutes where you're just kind of waiting for people to comment, and you're so appreciative of the people who are the first to go, and you notice them more, and you're much more likely to be around them because LinkedIn is more likely to show your post to more people if it sees you're active when the post goes out. So it is, yeah, ideally that's the best time. Don't spend all day on LinkedIn just so you can reply to people on time, though. It's probably not a great use of your time unless that's what you really want to be doing. But I think otherwise it can get a bit overwhelming, and probably go back to Ashley's like 15-minute LinkedIn training. That's the best way to do it, is in the way that's really sustainable. But if you know, like, okay, today I'm going to have a look, and there's a couple of people I've added as 1 p.m. posters, and it's 1 p.m. now, I'm going to have a look, then it's a great way to do it.
No, I love that. It's a brilliant idea. So you said you go and look at people have lists and they go and look at their posts. Some people call that stalking.
Yeah.
I like to call it research. So have you got any tips around that?
On researching other people's content, or just for what you might want to post?
No. Researching other people's content, and then how Lime helps you do that.
Okay, so when you're on Lime, you can just click a button, you open up a contact, and then you can click to go straight to their activity feed. So you don't look like a stalker, even if you want to be a stalker, because you're not kind of viewing their profile every single day.
Researcher.
Sorry, you don't look like a researcher. So you just look like, oh, I just stumbled across your post in the feed. And the really great thing I found about Lime actually is that instead of going through the news feed, looking at people's posts who I actually want to see and I actually want to comment on means that I'm seeing these great pieces of content from people, and I know what works. So I can see, like, this piece of content has had loads of engagement, this hasn't had as much, rather than just kind of waiting to see what LinkedIn wants me to see. I can see, okay, these creators, they might create a sales post every week that you might miss because sales posts don't generally get as many impressions, but you can see how they do it, and they're probably going to be getting sales from them if they're a LinkedIn influencer, and they're posting a lot. But yeah, you might not see it if not, and so then you can start to learn what's working. You can start to apply that to your content, and that is the best thing about LinkedIn. You can test content so easily because you're not wasting that much time. If nobody sees it, so it doesn't matter. But testing content makes it so much more fun. So if nobody comments on your post, you don't care, because you're like, okay, that's just some data I can add in, and I just won't do that again. Maybe it was the picture, maybe it was the link, whatever. And yeah, that's what I love about LinkedIn. It's just this instant feedback, and you can try so many different things. And you also get input from people who are so clever and so amazing at what they do and such experts, and they're all just willing to give you some thoughts and feedback, and like put their input into what you're talking about, which is amazing.
You just keep smiling. I love it. I absolutely love it. I thought I was the world's smiliest person. I think we've got a competition today. But you're right. LinkedIn is lovely. You see people on other platforms, no names, no pack drills, where people are just nasty, horrible, spiteful, mean. I don't see that on LinkedIn, because everyone wants everyone else to do well. But there's a billion people there as well. But then they're not. They're just friendly.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so easy to just unfollow someone if they're not your type of person as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good top tip. We got a question here from LinkedIn user. So if you want us to know who you are, if you just write your name next time you comment, because there's a setting in LinkedIn that lets us see you or not, but I don't know who you are. But thank you very much for the question. Interesting discussion. Any hints about getting the attention of people who do not post content? That's a great question. Go on. What do you think, Charli?
Okay, so the first thing I would do, and this is it's a bit of a roundabout, and it is a bit of a way to put effort. You have to put a bit of effort into this. So
hang on. you only get out what you put in. If you're going to put effort
Exactly.
in, because the thing is, one of the things that I teach about LinkedIn is it's like a networking meeting. Oh, you've been to networking meetings, surely, Charlie? Yeah.
Yeah.
If you went to a networking meeting every single day, would you get business?
Yes.
Yeah, of course you would. Of course you would. And so that's how much effort is it to go to a networking meeting every day? You know, some of these networking meetings are 6:30 start. That's serious effort. All right. And so it's all in context, isn't it? So it's not a lot of effort, but it's more than just getting it for nothing, because that's what people think you do with LinkedIn. So carry on. You put a bit of effort in, but go on. Let's how would you do this then?
So first thing would be go onto their profile, go to their activity and see, do they comment on anybody else's stuff? Do they like anybody else's stuff? If they do, add those people into your strategy to engage with, and start engaging with those people, and they'll start to see your comments. You can reply to their comments on other people's posts, and you can like their comments on other people's posts. If they don't do any of their own activity, another thing you can do is just look at who your mutual friends are and start commenting on their stuff, and LinkedIn's algorithm will hopefully show you their stuff. And then the other thing is, it's the worst part of LinkedIn. I hate it. I mean, a lot of people don't hate this, but sending DMs is scary at first, but you start to see what works, and you start to send kind of useful DMs. I know, Ashley, you use DMs all the time and it works really well for you. And I think there's that kind of awkward period in the beginning when you start sending them and you don't know what's going to work. But if you just start trying to be interested in other people, try to find out something from that industry or to do with their job role or to do with their company or anything that's useful to them, share that with them. Another good thing on Twitter, if you search the hashtag journo request, there's so many different journo requests, and it's journalists asking to speak to different people from different industries. If you can find something from their industry, send it to them and say, oh, this person's looking and I thought you would be a good fit for this because of your experience in whatever, that kind of thing. You've got to be creative. But I think the DMs are it, really, if people aren't active at all on LinkedIn.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Yeah, DMs, you say it's cringy. I only DM my friends. So I'm not sending a DM out to a brand new person. Hey, I can do this in 15 minutes. And I don't know about you, because you've got an amazing podcast. But I get a lot of messages from people who help podcasters and people who help video producers, because this goes up on YouTube. So I've got over 600 videos on my YouTube channel, and so I get regularly, hey, let me help you with your YouTube video. Let me help you with your podcast. But some of them do it in such a way as, I've noticed your YouTube channel's rubbish. Let me help you. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's not how you do it. Right. So you just said about going and reaching out to people and seeing who they're commenting on. This is great strategy. And if we go back to my analogy with the networking meeting, all right, it's like knowing that Charlie always goes to BNI on a Wednesday. Yeah. So if I want a chance of meeting Charlie, I'm going to go to BNI on a Wednesday. Yeah. I also happen to know that she likes speakers that talk about copywriting. So if I go to the events where they've got speakers that talk about copywriting, then there's a good chance I'm going to see Charlie there. And that's all you're doing, is just being a little bit clever, being a little bit creative. And so, yeah, there's some good answers there, Charlie. And hopefully, LinkedIn user, we've answered your question. But if anyone else has got any questions, please fire away. But like I said, we've only got 7 minutes left, Charlie. Hasn't it? So we get people, I don't like to call them lurkers, but we do get people that don't do anything on LinkedIn. And I bump into these people at events, and they come up to me and they go, oh, hi, really nice to meet you. I see your content or what have you. And I was chatting to a lady at an event a while back, and I was chatting about my daughter to a couple of other people, and she was in on the conversation. And she said, didn't your daughter get married recently? Thinking I was talking about another daughter. Well, I've got 2, so yes. But she knew that my daughter had got married recently. She'd never commented on any of my posts. She'd never liked any of my posts, but she's there watching it. So that's the other thing that we need to be aware of. Any tips on the people that don't engage?
I think you just got to keep creating content, and you know that they're seeing it. So not the CEO, the chairman of Joseph, the clothing brand, which I love, just reached out to me and said, "Oh, I've seen your LinkedIn content. I'm going to introduce you to the CEO of Joseph because we need help with copywriting." And that person had never commented on my stuff. I had no idea we were connected, but just like after doing day after day after day of posting and commenting, it just gets results, and it's annoying because you can't see it happening. But what I would say is LinkedIn is a good place to see it happening, because it's not like SEO where you're kind of just getting a bit of traffic and that's your only metric. With LinkedIn, you start to see impressions, you start to see a bit more engagement, you start to see people mentioning you in other people's posts and in their own posts. You start to get invited to speak on different things. All those benefits start to come from LinkedIn, and they do happen quite quickly. And they're all telling you that you're going in the right direction. So even if you haven't had any leads yet, it is still, a really good way to see that you're doing well. And then the other thing is do some sales posts as well. Even if you get like no engagement from them, people will still see them. And even if you get like 4 likes, but 2 sales, or even 1 sale or 1 lead from it, that's what you're on LinkedIn for. Like, don't be afraid of being too salesy. You still have to do some sales posts. And even the lurkers will see those, and they'll suddenly be like, "Oh, you have something to sell." When my first year and a half, I think, on LinkedIn, I was just doing educational content. I didn't do any selling. And then I did a sales post and people were like, "Oh my God, we can buy from you." And I got loads of leads. And I'd been probably dropping loads of leads for the last year and a half just by not telling people they could buy something from me.
That's what I'm doing wrong, because I don't do any sales posts. So I might try something there, Charlie. So thank you for that. But and I think the thing is, though, it is we don't set up our business to be selling people, do we? We're not born as salespeople. We see sales as a dirty word. We think we have connotations in our mind of what your typical salesperson is, and we won't knock anyone today, but we can all imagine that type of salesperson. You're like, oh my goodness, I've been fleeced out of this. And I saw a post this morning about somebody doing a conference or something, and at the conference, I think the course that they were selling at this conference or at this talk or something was $30,000, and they put pressure on these people to buy the course there and then, and said, "Well, get a few credit cards." And he's like, "No, that's," and I think that's what we see sales as. But what would you say a sales post is?
So I've been experimenting with a sort of half educational, half sales post. Sorry. So with Lime, for example, what I've done is I've created a whole list of problems that my target audience have to do with LinkedIn. I've then turned each of those problems into a blog post title. So if I had that problem, what would be the ideal blog post title of the problem? And then in the next column, I've just answered like, what are the features of Lime that I use to solve this? Now, your product or service might not solve every single problem, which is absolutely fine. So then what I've done is every Wednesday I do a sales post, and it will be what I know works for me. So a picture of me, it won't be a selfie. Don't know why they don't work for me. I'll have to be smiling. Anything moody doesn't work for me either. And it will be kind of a good hook, which is the question that they're asking. It's the problem that they have. But you're kind of saying it in I can solve your problem. Then educate them a bit on how they can solve that problem, and then sell your service at the end, and have a really clear CTA. So have a really clear thing that they could do after if they do want to buy from you. So can they go to your website? Do you want them to drop you a DM? Do you want them to fill in a form on your website? Whatever it is, make sure they know what they can do next if they're interested in that thing. So that's quite a gentle way of doing sales, I think, on LinkedIn, because you're still helping people at the same time.
Yeah, it's a it's a beautiful way to do sales. Great comment here from Tony Conti. Great advice. Glad you mentioned about the sales side of things. Eventually, as you say, a prospect will realize what your specialisms are for the future. Shouldn't use long words, Tony. I can't speak them. And then Avtab has said, very insightful. Congratulations, Charlie and Ashley. So that's lovely. That's it. That is crazy.
Wow, that was quick.
I knew this was going to be a great conversation. Charlie, you are absolutely brilliant. You're going to have to come back, or maybe come on my Friday show that I do with Odessa and Victoria, because we could have a lovely chat with you around content, because Odessa's a content writer as well. So maybe we'll tee that one up. You didn't ask me about my flag.
I'm so sorry, Ashley. Tell me about this flag. Ashley would not tell me before we went live, and I'm desperate to know.
Yeah. Okay. So this flag is up here because it's to prove that LinkedIn actually works. Because I've been doing all this content and all this helpful stuff and what have you, I've been asked to go to Canada to do a talk. So we released the news of that this week. So I never thought I'd be a public speaker. People are seeing what I'm doing on LinkedIn and they're asking me to do this, that, and the other. I never thought I'd be an international speaker, but yeah, it just goes to show that you do the right things on LinkedIn, even if it's 15 minutes a day, it jolly works.
Yeah. And you have a great thing that you're selling and offering people, and you have the personality and the voice to be a speaker.
Bless you, but not as many. I'm gonna see if I could put this video into AI and to see who smiles the most. But I think it was probably you today, Charlie. Thank you so much for jumping on. Before we say goodbye, I just want to give a shout out to my guest next week, which is Marie Speakman. She's a wordsmith and a software developer, and she is doing amazing things with AI. So going to be asking her loads of questions next week as well. Charlie, how can people get hold of you?
Just find me on LinkedIn. I'm Charli Hunt on LinkedIn. Or you can go to thelime.one. Just type that into your browser. It is a URL. And then you'll find out everything that the Lime One is about.
Fantastic. And look at your post on a Wednesday to find out how we can buy this amazing software. Charlie, thank you so much indeed. Thank you to everybody for watching. I will be back on Friday with we've got the lovely Jane Tarrant on the show on Friday, but I will see you next week when I am with the lovely Marie. So cheerio and see you very soon. Bye-bye. You get out what you